Hello and welcome to another Figure Friday. I'm your host Tama, and today we'll be looking at the Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, as presented by Kotobukiya in the ARTFXJ line in 1/8 scale. So just opening up this figure, we are greeted with 4 parts. We have the base, Hiei himself, an extra faceplate with his third eye, and an extra arm with the infamous dragon.
The darkness reigns!
Taking a look at it for the first time, I must say that the details are mostly average. The figure mostly consists of deep blacks and bright whites in the paint. Doesn't feel too varied. It's pretty basic even when coming down to the tone and color of his muscles, and generally feels a bit undercooked. The pose is easily the best part about the figure, and it really sells that true look of evil and darkness that is so well done by Hiei's character. The way he's pulling away the bandages on his arm and menacingly peering into the soul of his enemies is extremely well done. It looks even more menacing with the dragon arm, as it adds a lot more detail to a figure that comes somewhat without it. In fact, it might add a bit too much detail. The contrast here is a bit out of place and takes the attention completely away from the star of the show, being Hiei. I definitely prefer the dragon than not, but I think the design could have been a bit better off if it showcased that shadowy evil just a little bit more. Maybe a bit larger, as it's been presented in the anime and other figures that Hiei is showcased in, because it does look a bit small and awkward in the way that it's placed here against his arm. And speaking of making things possibly larger, I do have to say the size on this figure, while advertised as 1/8 scale, does seem a little bit small. Of course, I'm sure it is 1/8 scale, but I feel like the design would definitely benefit from being a bit larger. The figure does measure with a 4-inch diameter at the base. The height comes about 8 inches with the dragon and about 7 inches by himself. The assembly of the figure is a bit tough. I found it quite difficult to get the arm and face pieces on at first. It doesn't help that the hairpiece is small, wavy, and brittle, so I was kind of afraid I was going to break it. It really doesn't help that the sleeves of his gi rub against the shoulder either. When taking off the arm, I did notice that some of the paint rubbed off immediately. I honestly thought that the figure might break if I put too much pressure on it, so I tried to be as gentle as possible, but it still ended up rubbing off some of the paint, and it was quite a chore. The base suffers from a couple of issues as well. I rather like the clear design with the patterns printed on it, but it's extremely thin and hollow, only being held up by a thin inner circle in the center of the base, rather than the whole platform that Hiei is standing on. It makes the figure feel a bit cheap and unbalanced, but I didn't have too many issues with it on my shelf so far, so it does get the job done nonetheless. 5 years ago in 2018, this figure released for 5,800 yen, and it is now 10,000 yen, so the quality difference just isn't there for the price. Perhaps if we had more peripherals like his sword, or his bandages were removable and able to be placed elsewhere, and a bigger dragon, the price might be a little better justified, but for now I don't entirely think it's worth it. Hiei isn't very well detailed, nor does he have that Kotobukiya staple quality that you would come to expect from him. But he looks just as intimidating and cold as you would come to expect from the anime. The pose is well done, very well done, even if it leaves me with some room for more, especially when you have a seam line with paint scratching that makes it look like he had a horrible accident, and just gets the job done in a straightforward way. By no means is this a bad figure, but I wouldn't necessarily rush to order it without waiting for a sale. With that being said, I'm just happy to see some of the OG shonen anime get the love it deserves in a world full of figures that dive after the trending and popular series. Overall, this figure gets a solid C rating from me. It's alright, but lacks the detail to meet the level of desirability I would require for an immediate purchase. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Go ahead, let me know down in the comments below who your favorite character in Yu Yu Hakusho is. Personally, I'm a big fan of Kurama, and perhaps we will see a figure review of him in the coming weeks as well. For now, do yourselves a favor, take care, and bye-bye.